difference?
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AirPace.
And pace.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Here we are. We are live here up high in Central Texas, up top the Alico building. We are presented by Slovacek's Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers, Socorro Family Ford, of course, Crawford Austin Properties. Socorro Family Ford is the best, by the way. I got to get out there. We got to do a live show from there. First of all, because it's the cleanest place we've ever done a live show from. Car dealerships are clean by nature, and this one is pristine. You walk into a car dealership, they do a really good job. The ambiance, it's good lighting, feels good in there. So looking forward to going back up to see Socorro Family Ford and the folks over there doing a live show. Big guest today, Randy Galloway, DFW legend. We had the opportunity to talk to him late yesterday. We're going to run it today, talk to him about Jimmy Johnson, Jerry Jones, Billy Martin, Luka Doncic. everything, and some of his greatest moments as a sports writer and doing sports talk radio. We didn't get to talk about Matt Mosley because it took up so much time. I didn't want to keep him on forever because I worry he would go on and on. But Randy Galloway was beyond generous with his time.
Well, if you'd asked him about his favorite co-host ever, he could have talked for half an hour about Matt.
He said that Mosley guy was great, but he took him a half hour to get into his questions. No, he didn't say that, but that could be true. A couple things we're going to talk about before we get to Randy Galloway. We want to talk about Big 12 quarterbacks. Paul Catalina touched on it yesterday, and Scotty and I took it a step further, and we wanted to do our rankings. We ranked the top 5 quarterbacks in the Big 12. Before we do that, I just want to give my thoughts on the Lakers and their loss last night in 5. In my mind, I've created that my dog is a Lakers fan, Sadie, so I was talking crap to her today. I was like, child support, Lou Dort, divorce court, Lakers in 5. Like, because all the Laker fans are upset. It feels weird to do that with Shannon wherever he is now. But the Lakers lost. And this morning, I think the reaction to the Lakers losing, it's not overall shock. I think that the Timberwolves beat them. The Timberwolves proved to be the better team. I don't like the criticism at J.J. Redick. I don't like how people expect this. We are so fixed on immediate results. Luka joined the Lakers in January, late January, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right around the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was the dead week in between AFC, NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. And the team clearly could have used a big. They did not acquire one. There was the Mark Williams deal that fell through. It's believed folks like Brian Windhorst and guys who know much more than me and women who know much more than me, that the Lakers didn't punt on this year. You can't afford to do that with LeBron at this phase in his career, but they certainly didn't go all in as far as finding a big that would be able to – hold on for a second. This annoys me. Tony.
I'm going to start saying he's over the stove, dude.
You like that? He's over the stove? Tony, we're on the pizza. Hold on. I'm in the middle of the Pete Sousa show right now, so can I call you after?
Call me back, yeah.
How come you guys call me? Nobody listens to the show, huh? You, Murph, my brother. Everybody calls me.
I listen.
All right, you're on the air. All right, great. That's Tony Aiden, folks. Tony, I'll call you later. By the way, top scorer in the Philadelphia Catholic League in 1995. That's a big-time league, too. Rob Wright played in that league. Tony Hayden, one of the best hoops players that I talk to at least every day. Definitely the best hoops player I talk to just about every day. So the J.J. Redick thing and the Luka thing and the microwave generation or the microwave kind of type of fandom that we all have, we want it to happen right now. We want J.J. Redick to be Pat Riley. We want LeBron and Luka to be, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Kobe and Shaq or whatever you want to compare it to. And that's just not reality. J.J. Redick is in his first year ever as a head coach. He was nervous last night. Reggie Miller talked about it a couple times on the broadcast, just how, shot out of a cannon J.J. Redick was before the game. And we saw his interaction with that reporter, where the reporter asked him a question about whether or not he would lean on his assistant coaches. Redick was way aggressive in his return, and it wasn't much of a volley basically as it was Redick just dunking on the reporter and then leaving the press availability before a game. And I don't think that's anything that he planned out. I think it was nerves, and I think that's a window into the state of him right now and his process and journey as a head coach. And the team, I think that's him knowing that they probably don't have what they would need to beat the Timberwolves, right? I mean, he's not a dummy. And you're on the clock with LeBron, there's no question. But also, too, watching LeBron last night, the word that comes to mind is lumber. LeBron is starting to lumber up and down the court. And he's still able to hit some big buckets early in the game. But then late in the game, in the fourth quarter, he was terrible, just ineffective. I don't know whether he ran out of gas or who knows what's going on with that guy's body. A lot of tread on the tires. And I went to, it's funny, right? Our news cycle is so crazy now because and with doing this show, I'm constantly thinking about what are we going to talk about tomorrow? What interests me? What will interest people at home? What's going to be the topic of the day? And as I was going to bed last night, I was like, watching the game, I was like, oh yeah, tomorrow there's going to be a tidal wave of Lakers content. Significant, insignificant, fiction, nonfiction. LeBron, is he leaving? Is he staying? You know, all of this stuff. Like, I thought, oh yeah, the Lakers are going to lose, and this is going to be a whole thing. And now we're in the middle of that whole thing. And I don't think I don't begrudge what I said earlier. I did believe the Lakers were going to win. I did believe it was an overreaction after they lost game one. I was wrong, not the first time. I also do believe that the Lakers are going to be better next year. I think that they'll have to get to work in the offseason. I don't know. I don't like people saying, because I believe, you know, you want to talk to Bates, MJ, LeBron, you know, you could say Jordan would have never had a game like that. I heard Adam Shine say it this morning, Shine on Sports, right? But that, to me, I throw that, it's like, well, you know, MJ didn't play till he was in his 40s, you know. LeBron's career wire to wire is like nothing we've ever seen. I don't know if I can say we won't see again because of where we're moving now with the way everybody takes care of their bodies and some of the treatments that are out there. And, you know, that's great. That's the evolution of sports and sports medicine. Scotty's ready to say something here. But I think the comparison is not necessarily fair because LeBron's body of work is so huge. You can pick apart some of his failures. On the other side of that, when you talk about Michael Jordan, you know, his career was somewhat compact, but at the same time, he didn't have much failure at all, right? Now, the one thing I do want to mention before Scotty can get in here, and then we'll get to a break and then talk about the Big 12 and Big 12 quarterbacks before we hear from Dallas Morning News and Fort Worth Star-Telegram and Dallas Sports Radio talk host legend Randy Galloway. When Jordan, here's my thing about LeBron and Luka, right? When Michael Jordan came out of retirement and joined the Bulls in 1994, when he came back to playing, I'm sorry, it was 95. It was the spring of 95. And they lost to the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know, that was a team that had been put together late in the season. It was like, oh, Michael's back. Everything's going to be fine. Like, it takes a minute. And I think that that's what we saw with the Lakers this year. The addition, this is not like, because I was here joking yesterday with Scotty earlier this week. Like, well, you've got LeBron and Luka. Why aren't you winning a title? It's just it's not that simple. And JJ Redick being a first-year head coach, I don't think that helps. I think he's like in his process, but I don't think that helps. Scotty, what do you got to say right now? Because I know you're jonesing to get in here.
I'm content to sit this one out unless you want.
What do you got? No,
you can't bring up LeBron's legacy without me jumping in here. Okay, so I'm sorry, Bear.
I didn't know you were the bearer of the legacy.
I am an advocate of the legacy.
Okay.
Because I think no player has been more strictly and harshly under a microscope and judged for 22 years.
There's something weird going on with this mic, by the way. I'm sorry. I had to. Okay, go ahead.
Then LeBron James.
Okay.
So here's Bear the truth. I'll just say facts. I won't be a fanboy.
Okay.
So you said, I don't know if we'll never see this again, but we might. And you talked about longevity. We've seen longevity. Vince Carter had a very long, good NBA career, Hall of Fame NBA career, right? Steph Curry might play into his 40s. Like, he looks great, and he's in his late 30s now, right?
Yeah.
So like, you're right as far as longevity goes. Here's what we will not see again. Bear the truth. LeBron James is the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. LeBron James is fourth all-time in the NBA in assist. He is also the all-time leading scorer in the playoffs and assist in the playoffs. On top of playing forever at a very high level. When he came into the league at 18, he was immediately a top 10 player in the league and very quickly a top 5 player in the league. Today, he's a borderline top 5 player in the NBA and probably solidly like 9th or 10th best player in the NBA at age 40. That I don't think we'll ever see again. I don't think we'll ever see it again.
No, but
that level of excellence for that long, I don't think we'll ever
I agree, but we'll never see the domination that we saw from Jordan.
You're right.
And
you're probably right.
Because the one thing, and again, like, I don't know if it's a knock on LeBron or not a knock on LeBron, and I hate to be like wishy-washy, but I do live in reality where there's somewhat of a freaking gray area. Sorry, okay? I hate to take the pin out of the sports talk balloon, but it's true. Like, there's a gray area and stuff. That's just that's just how life is, okay?
1000%.
We all want to win our sports arguments, but there is a gray area. And the Jordan debate for me, or the Jordan point for me, is that, like, there was a time when I used to root against Michael Jordan because, one, the Sixers and Barkley, and two, I just would root for the underdog because, they started to dominate. Once Michael took control of the league and there was that pendulum switch, right, or swing from Detroit to the Bulls, they never looked back, and he never missed a big shot, and it was just domination. And I watched too many games with MJ where I was like, oh, he's going to hit a shot to win. There's no doubt in my mind. And every time he came through with LeBron, it's just
he didn't. But we'll look up those stats later if you want.
Come on, there was like
we can look up those stats later if you want.
Every time he came through, Scotty, sometimes he would be
every time.
Sometimes he would be generous with the basketball and maybe find a Steve Kerr or a John Paxson. But more often than not, I don't remember him missing a shot to lose a huge game. I just don't. And LeBron, there's like, how many do you have? Now, there's more big games. I know, right?
Well, and here's what's this is what I hate about the debate.
Yeah.
And I hate that we just got sucked into it a little bit there. I hate that you just said, well, sometimes Michael would kick out to Steve Kerr or find a blah, 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 blah. Great. That's the good basketball play. You know what people crap on LeBron for doing? The same thing. Because he's a great passer and he's a passer first.
Well, okay, then why do you
always
think?
Has been.
Let me ask you this before we wrap this up, because I'm just curious, because I do appreciate your defense of LeBron. Why do you think people pick on LeBron? Is it because he's passive aggressive as a person?
No, and by the way,
because he is. He comes across like passive aggressive.
Okay, but let's not talk about character when we're comparing these two.
Oh, no.
Because it's not close, by the way. It's not remotely close. LeBron James has been married to his high school sweetheart, good dad, good person off the court by all accounts.
By all accounts, yeah, but there are some there's
He's never had a scandal. He's never had a drug issue. He's never gambled. Like he has been the consummate professional good citizen off the court. He has been. Now, why are people so hard on him? Because he was anointed at 16. That's why. Because at 16, people were saying, he's the next Michael Jordan. Yeah. He's better than Kobe Bryant. Yeah. He's going to be the best player we've ever seen. And it's part of why I do defend him is because he did have that pressure, and then he mostly lived up to it. Like, he's not been Jordan, right? He hasn't averaged Jordan's numbers in the playoffs. He's not the same kind of basketball player as Michael Jordan. But he's mostly lived up to it. Like we said at 16, this could be the best basketball player ever. He's going to retire the all-time leading scorer in NBA history.
I'll say, too, the circumstances around, and you make very good points there. They're fair points, and you're seeing the whole field. I think it's unfortunate, too, for LeBron that we are in this. I mean, you could say Michael Jordan made sports the business it is today, the billion-dollar business, or had a hand in that. And LeBron,
huge.
Yeah, and LeBron is now a part of that, and he certainly, the torch has been passed to him, and it's amazing what he's doing financially and from a business perspective. But you can tell there's a lot more thought behind what LeBron is doing now. Like, I feel like a lot of LeBron's moves and motives are fueled by this argument, which is super weird, which Jordan never fell victim to because there really was no argument. Maybe Jordan Magic.
Well, and again, because
and Michael did share the floor with those guys, so he could actually go out and beat Magic's ass and say, "Okay, now I have it."
LeBron's playing against past his prime, right?
Yeah, but LeBron's playing against a bunch of ghosts, really, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, totally. But there's a few things here. So, again, Michael wasn't at 16 declared the king and asked to be the greatest of all time. So, again, LeBron has been working on this most of his life now. Like he has been anointed, and he's been trying to live up to this thing. The other thing about what you said that's interesting, Michael Jordan came around at a time that was so, I mean, we talk, this is a weird comparison, but maybe go with me on this. When quarterbacks get drafted in the NFL, we talk so often about fit. Like, who would Pat Mahomes be if he didn't have Andy Reid? He'd probably still be great. Yeah. We don't know. The fact is, those two together, dynamite. Michael Jordan came into the league at the perfect time. And so what LeBron will never match, and I'll give Jordan this all day, is the cultural influence and impact Michael Jordan had. You talked about sports world. The Jordan brand shoes, the commercials, the Space Jam, like all these things. Like, LeBron will never have the cultural influence Michael Jordan had. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like an NFL quarterback fitting into a team. That was like a fit into a slice of historic time where Michael perfectly aligned with the rise of the NBA, and it was made for each other, and he was made for TV, and it was a show. Yeah. LeBron will never beat that, right? Yeah. But what LeBron has done, he came into Kobe and Shaq's league and was immediately better than them. And all of these, here's what has happened. All of the next greatest player ever have come along, and LeBron just, like, beats them. Yeah. It does happen. Yeah. We can talk about the Warriors dynasty and Steph Curry, like, you know, but, like, LeBron has been the best player in this league for 20 years. Like, he has. In
one way or another, you could say that.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and I think the other thing, you talk to any current player in the NBA, you talk to an Ant Edwards, you know, you talk to Luka, they're all talking about LeBron the same way Kobe talked about Michael Jordan, right? I mean, he really has been this generation's influence, inspiration.
How much longer do you think he has left? I think one more year.
Dude,
I think last night.
I think this is the most, like, I would believe you if you said 1 year, and I would believe you if you said 5. I really would. Yeah. Just because people have been writing him off for 6 years anyway, and he's still going. And I know
he didn't look great last night, dude. And I'm not trying to be like
I hear you.
Bombastic or like he didn't look good.
No,
he looked old. He looked old.
And he is going to have to transition and be content with transitioning to a phase where he's not the man. I mean,
I think we're there.
Maybe, but I think that's why the Luka trade has the potential to extend his career. Yeah. Because Luka can be the man. Now, clearly, they have a big offseason here. Like they need to get the right pieces for Luka to thrive, which is certainly some help in the post, like lob threats, those kind of, like, you know, the Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford kind of thing. But if Luka can be the guy and LeBron's like, if LeBron's content to play 4 more years averaging 15 points a game, I think he can play. If he's got to keep being Superman,
no, I can't do it.
Can't do it.
You know, can't do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, all right, we're gonna take a break. We got Randy Galloway waiting in the wings. We've got to talk with Paul Catalina about the Big 12 and how it's loaded with quarterback talent. We figured we'd rank our top 5, from Sawyer Robertson to Jalen Daniels to everyone in between. Maybe that's not how you rank them. We'll be back after this. Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovacics.
Did you know nearly all stock price changes of 10% or more result from a single news headline? These news catalysts create trading opportunities every day. All you need is a little help to reach out and take them. It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
OsleyMD.com. I've always had thin hair my whole life. It breaks off at a certain length. In the last 6 months, I've noticed it just really bad. I mean, you could totally see it. I wear a hat a lot. I tried several different products. My experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
OsleyMD.com.
Golf Partner, the world's largest golf store network, offers more purchasing opportunities than anywhere else. With a dominant market share and a wider selection of quality secondhand golf clubs than our competitors, we make it easy for you to enjoy the game with affordable, top-quality equipment. Join us at GolfPartnerUSA.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GolfPartnerUSA.com. Golf Partner.
Since 2003, Bluehost has been empowering people to harness their brands online with innovative web hosting solutions. Trusted by over 2 million users, we're the longest-running WordPress.org recommended host. With Bluehost, you get a safer, better web experience, supported by the world's most popular site builder, and backed by our commitment to open source projects. Visit Bluehost.com today and take your website to the next level.
Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. Enjoy seamless, fast storage without compromising security. Visit Internix.com today and take control of your digital life. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress. It's like a wearable hug for your nervous system that helps you calm down and feel better. The Apollo wearable will send gentle vibrations to your body, like a song you can feel instead of hear. You feel better, you sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. Whether at home or on the go, NordVPN ensures your digital freedom. Stay secure. Download NordVPN today at nordvpn.com. That's NORDVPN.com. Elevate your experience with Grenco Science, the leaders in cutting-edge vaporizers. Whether you're at home or on the go, our sleek, powerful devices deliver smooth, consistent hits every time. Quality you can trust, innovation you can feel. Grenco Science. Take your vapor game to the next level. Visit us at GrencoScience.com.
It all began with a simple idea, cutting handles off old ski sticks to create better pull-up bars. This sparked the creation of the revolutionary Engels 90 handles. After testing over 70 prototypes with 300 athletes, our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show. Randy Galloway is coming up in about 10, 15 minutes. In the meantime, in between time, we want to give you a look at our top 5. Yesterday, we talked with Paul Catalina from 365 Sports. And Paul, at the end of our segment with him, we were talking about the Cowboys draft, actually. But I asked him, I said, where's Sawyer Robertson going to go in the draft? I want you to, predict the future for us. He said top 20. And then he went on to say, which was kind of low-hanging fruit, not a knock on Paul, but it turned out to be a great point, was I shouldn't even call it low-hanging fruit. It was just a great point by Paul that I didn't think of first. The Big 12 quarterbacks, the quarterbacks in the Big 12 will probably be the best quarterback play in the country overall from a conference. And then he started to name names, and I was like, wow. And this morning I asked Scotty, I said, let's rank our top 5 Big 12 quarterbacks. And we're going to go through who we have in our top 5. Scotty's going to go first. And I'm curious to see what he has to say. Remember now, no more Shedeur Sanders, which is maybe a relief for a lot of people. But here's Scotty's top 5. Scotty, go ahead, give it to me.
All right, let's get it. So there were like 11 guys I legitimately thought about for this list. It's a deep quarterback conference this season. Here are my 5 first. I got to give some love to Rocco Becht. I was thinking about this. If being a quarterback is about putting games on your shoulders and winning the game, Rocco Becht's someone I trust to do it. Iowa State, I know their performance in the Big 12 championship game was underwhelming. That's not on Rocco Becht. Like, that dude pretty much dragged that team to that championship game. He's only going to be better this year. I think he's really, really dynamic and a good quarterback. My newcomer of the year, who I think is going to be just so dangerous, is Caden Salter at Colorado. This is a guy who 2 seasons ago threw for 3,000 yards and rushed for 1,200 more. He is electric. No, 2 seasons ago at Liberty.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a 4-year player, 3-year starter, at least in spots at Liberty.
Who was the freshman that they got?
Julian.
Yeah. That guy might start.
No, he's not. Caden Salter's going to start.
Okay.
Mark my words. We'll come back to it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, Caden Salter's going to start, and Caden Salter's going to be very, very good. I think this is a prove-it year for Deion, right? Like,
I agree.
You signed a big deal. You're staying. Your sons are gone. Like, and I think Caden Salter is going to be a dude. Like, I really, really think he's a great quarterback.
He'll go 5-6 and take a job coaching the Jets. And then the Colorado will be stuck with number 2 hanging in the rafters forever.
We'll see.
Okay.
Number 3, and everybody here knows I have no love for TCU at all. But I could not excuse not putting Josh
the gunslinger.
Hoover. Josh Hoover is a very good quarterback. I think he's better than Max Duggan, who took them to the national championship.
4,000 yards last year.
Dude, he's an outstanding quarterback. He's a
27
very good
touchdowns,
passer,
I think.
Accurate, smart with the football.
Yeah.
This was unintentional, but I looked it up a second ago. My top 3 are the 3 returning highest QBRs in the Big 12 in order. So Josh Hoover had the 4th highest QBR last year behind my next 2 and Shadur Sanders. He will improve. TCU, I think, is a dark horse in this league. 2 for me is Sam Levitt. He was obviously first-team All-Big 12 last season. Played very well in the playoff game against Texas, especially once they got kind of that first-half jitters out. I know there's a lot of love for Cam Scattaboo, but that team does not do what they do last season without him. And he was a freshman. He's a freshman last year, Pete. He's going to be super good this year. And the number 1, no surprise, but it's not bias. I really think he's the best quarterback in the league. Sawyer Robertson, highest QBR in America, coming back in college football this season, running a really dynamic offense with a lot of weapons. I think Baylor is a real threat to win the league. I think Sawyer makes it go. Like, I think he is going to be a revelation for some people.
I want to
this
ask you a
season.
question about
ask
your list.
Ask me a question.
Why do you not have Jake Retzlaff or Avery Johnson?
Okay. One of those players I did not even consider. I think Avery Johnson is the most overrated player in the Big 12.
Is that you didn't consider him?
Didn't even consider him. I don't think he's top 5 at all. Not even close. Like, he's closer to bottom 5.
Not even close.
What did he do last year that showed you he's better?
Oh my
than
God, he's a total dual threat. I mean, the guy literally.
By the way, he's not on Pete's list either. Spoiler alert.
He's sick. He's 6. But he's
over Rocco Becht.
Yeah, yes,
dude.
Yes.
One of these quarterbacks had their play. Okay, Kansas State was projected to be in the hunt for the Big 12 championship, and they sucked. They flopped hard. They're going to flop harder this season, by the way.
Avery Johnson was a freshman.
Okay, and so was Sam Levitt. What's the difference?
Sam Levitt had a better supporting
cast. No. Sam Levitt was a much better quarterback also. And you know it, too, because he's on your top 5 and Avery Johnson's
All right, let's look at my top 5.
So hold on. I'm going to answer your question about
Jake.
Jake was the other one. Number 5 came down to Rocco and Jake. Mm-hmm. Those were the 2. Because to me, they're very similar. They're very similar players.
Okay.
They're both guys that I trust in the clutch to win a football game. Rocco Becht made the Big 12 championship game. It was really that simple.
He got killed.
Yeah, but like Iowa State, this is the same reason I tell people when they knock LeBron for going to 10 finals, tying our topics together today. It's like, yeah, but the man made 10 finals. Like, he got there. Like I'm not going to give someone credit for not even reaching the finish line, right?
Yeah.
Like Rocco Becht, like Jake, love him. BYU's a threat to win the league again this year, but they fell short at the end of the season, and Iowa State did not. So if I had to win a game in the clutch, I'm taking Rocco Becht.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out my ring.
Let's do it. Tell us 5-1.
All right, number 5. Let me go to my list. See how hell-bent I am on it. I forgot it already. All right. Jalen Daniels. Okay?
Yep.
So Jalen Daniels is a guy. Slow start.
So Avery Johnson's not even the best quarterback in Kansas, is what you're saying.
Slow start last year for Jalen Daniels, right? But and the numbers don't reflect, 16 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, but his ability to run the football. And I think Kansas, if you remember how white hot they were at the end of last year, nobody wanted to play them. I compared them to Omar from The Wire because every time you saw Kansas coming, you knew you were screwed, especially if you were like a top 25 team. Baylor finally put the kibosh on that late in the year by
Sawyer started that game 9 for 9 for like 200 yards.
Yeah, they obliterated him. But I really like Jalen Daniels. Remember now, I think this is his third year coming back as a starter.
Yes. He's a great player.
Yeah, I expect great things from him. Jake Retzloff at 4. I don't think you can deny how well he played last year for BYU in so many big moments. He found that juju, right? Like he showed us last year that he's a winner, and those wins parlayed into big-time confidence. They dismantled Colorado in a bowl game late in the year in the matchup that everybody had wanted to see. I love Jake Retzloff, and I really like where he's headed as a quarterback, and I think he's got a lot to prove this year. He threw for, I think, 3,000 yards last year. Yeah, 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, just 12 picks, sacked 18 times. His quarterback rating's 136. That's pretty good, dude. Okay?
He's a good player. I considered him for mine. I just told you that.
Considered him. All right, Sam Levitt at 3, okay? Sam Levitt showed us everything he needed to show us last year. I think one of the big moments for Arizona State last year was they lost their best wide receiver going into the Big 12 title game and into the college football playoff, and Levitt was still able to show, hey, this is kind of my show. Yep. I'm in control here. They were a targeting penalty away from advancing in the playoffs against Texas. That had a lot to what Cam Scatterboo, yes, very much so. But there were games that Cam Scatterboo missed that Sam Levitt took over and everything was fine. You know what I mean? Like he found a way to win. They found a way to win without him. Here's my surprise. Number 2, Connor Wegman. Okay, here's why. So here's why I say this. Every year, we get a guy who we didn't expect to be the guy and a team that we don't expect to be the team, and they make a run, and they surprise us. And I think the table is setting up for Willie Fritz in Houston to be that team this year with Connor Wegman. I think he was 4-1 last year at A&M before he got hurt to end the season, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember.
But he was good, okay?
He was inconsistent.
Look, I think his starting record at A&M was like 7-2. He was injured last year, totally cut his season short. Cypress, Texas guy, playing in Houston. A lot to like about the possibility of them being that team that grabs you by the shirt and says, hey, remember us? Yeah, that's right. We're back, the Cougs, okay? And number 1, Sawyer Robertson. I just don't think you can deny. I think this is such an exciting time to be a Baylor fan. I can't wait. I love hype, okay? I do. And it's part of the issue. It's part of the reason I fell in love with college football, but it's also part of my problem overall as a person. I love the excitement around a Heisman campaign. I'm really waiting to see what we cook up with this summer heading into fall camp around Sawyer Robertson. And what I mean is, like, let's get a Heisman campaign going. Let's go. I'm telling you, dude, like Sawyer Robertson, like we talked top 20 yesterday with Catalina. He could be like top 5. Like he could be in a quarterback heavy draft.
Oh, you're gonna make me feel things, Pete.
No, I'm just telling you, like, when is the last time, and I'll ask you this, Scotty, because we can end on a positive note so we don't have to fight again. When is the last time there was this much hype around a Baylor quarterback? It would be RG3, right?
No. It was 2015 with Seth Russell. It was.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Like, and legitimately, you ask any Baylor fan of the last however long, we all thought Seth Russell was Heisman bound in 15. He led the country in every passing category going into week 7.
Yeah, but hold on.
He that's the same.
You know way more about Seth Russell than I do. I'm not here to pretend.
Corey Coleman did win the Biletnikoff that year. That is the best offense Baylor's ever fielded to that point.
What were his measurables, Seth Russell?
Dude, he was like 6'4". He was like Sawyer size and much faster. And I'm not ripping Sawyer. Did you see the spider charts though?
Oh Christ, with your spider charts. Yes.
No, look at the spider charts. They have the same spider chart, except Seth Russell ran like a 4.4.
Yeah, you're right. Seth Russell 6'3", 205. Forgive my ignorance. Okay.
And he ran like a 4.4.
Okay.
He was insane.
So
bro.
I mean, again, forgive me. What happened to him his senior year? That was the
Well,
year everything blew up?
That was going into his junior year. He was going to be a 2-year starter. 2016 was his senior
So
year.
he was kind of swallowed up by the scandal.
15. Yes. 15. Here's what happened.
So that was a Jim Grobe year, right?
Yeah. Well, 16 was the Jim Grobe.
Okay. Okay.
15 was Bryle's final season.
Okay.
Seth was the starter.
Okay.
They were 7-0. He had the best numbers in every category in the country. Corey Coleman had like 14 touchdowns in the first 6 games of the season. It was stupid video game offense.
Yeah.
Better than RG3 ever had, and that's not knocking RG3. He broke a disc in his neck on a run against Iowa State at home. He went up in the middle. He came down like this to take contact, and I don't want to misspeak. Maybe it wasn't broken. It was a neck injury that took him out for the season.
Wow.
In week 7 against Iowa State.
And that kinda,
homecoming.
And that kind of.
Dude, that team, that's the team that Jarrett Stidham got hurt next. Chris Johnson got hurt next. We lost by 1 score against Texas with no quarterback in the game, and then went to against North Carolina in a bowl game with no quarterback in the game and set a bowl record for rushing yards, and they couldn't stop it. It was actually one of the most exciting Baylor teams ever. But you asked me a question.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer.
The hype around Seth Russell in 2015,
heading into the season,
I would say was equivalent. Yes, because we'd seen him in backup time.
Yeah.
We knew he was big, strong, fast. Like,
yeah.
I would say it was about equivalent to what. But nobody's been close since.
Yeah.
And Sawyer is at that level.
Here's the one thing about Sawyer that I think is super exciting. He was battle tested last year and came through. And I'm talking
Facts.
about there were dark times. The guy has found a way to play through of all the darkness. And I'm looking forward to just quite the crescendo this year. All right.
So hold on. You got to ask me questions. I'm going to ask you 2 questions real quick. Then we'll get to Randy Galloway.
Yeah. Inside the 12's Pete Sousa.
How
about to get owned here.
How do you leave Josh Hoover off this list?
Okay.
Because I hate to be the guy shilling for TCU. That honestly makes me sick.
It was an oversight. If I'm honest, I screwed up. I screwed up. I'm not going to come up with some big over the top argument. I messed up.
We love Jalen Daniels, but see ya. That's hilarious. And then here's what I found interesting.
By the way, his sister is the greatest, Hannah, the coolest. Dude.
When I got your list this morning, here's the other thing I noticed. We are both banking on a newcomer being a great quarterback in this conference. We just think it's a different guy.
Yeah.
Like you'd ride with Connor, and I'm going to ride with Caden Salter.
Yeah. I
think that's exciting.
I think it is too. By the way, everybody. So Josh Hoover's sister. Okay, she worked in Waco. Did you know this?
No.
She worked in Waco at Channel 44. Somebody put her in touch with me because she wanted to get into sports broadcasting. So we had a couple really good long combos about her getting into sports broadcasting. She had kind of hit a wall where she was like, "I'm kind of screwed. I don't know what to do." I remember walking into Fabled, the coffee shop here in Waco, and she was just doing what you do. She was sending out all the resume, all that stuff. And she was like, I'm not quite sure if it's going to happen for me. And then boom, she gets picked up by a sports station in Oklahoma City. I mean, she was one of those talented people who you're like, I hope she does not quit. Because she's so good. And she has so much to offer, her life perspective. I will tell you, from meeting her, if her brother Josh has it all, the perspective and the zest for life that she has, the unmatched enthusiasm, that could be part of the intangibles there. Hannah's awesome, and she's in Oklahoma City now crushing it. We got to have her on to talk about.
Let's do it.
I was thinking about it. We can't put her in a position to talk about her bro, but
Yeah.
she's in Oklahoma City, so she could talk to us about Oklahoma State. She could talk to us about the Thunder.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. So we got to have Hannah on. She's the best, and she's kicking some tail in Oklahoma City right now. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to come back with Randy Galloway. Sorry, Josh, I left you off the list. It's my bad. I screwed up. Not that you care. Pete Sousa Show, presented by Slovaceks, comes back with the great Randy Galloway.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoalUSA.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
It all, Randy, and you've been a part, as much as you have done your best as a journalist to stay out of the story, you certainly have been part of breaking some of the biggest stories in sports and, of course, in the DFW and in Texas. What's the biggest story you can remember breaking when you thought to yourself, wow, when this thing goes to print, or maybe it was talk radio, sports talk, when I go on the radio with this, it's really going to have a seismic impact?
It's funny. The seismic impact happened on radio. And that was when Jimmy Johnson called in We were on WBAP. That's kind of the 50,000-watt blowtorch. The Cowboys were getting ready to play the 49ers in the playoffs. Huge game. Touted as the best game of the year, which was legitimate. And Jimmy calls in. I think he may have been jacked up on some Heineken and ice, but he calls in, and out of nowhere, our producer goes, "Hey, Jimmy Johnson's on the hotline." And I went, "Well, let's put him on." We've been talking about the game, and he goes, "Galloway, I want to tell you something. We're going to win this game. Put it in 3-inch headlines. We will win the game." And that, I hear it and I go, wow. My first thought was, we still had about an hour to go on the show. As soon as this show's over, I got to call the morning news beat guy. And I think it was Ed Werder, still a good friend. And I got to call Ed and tell him what Jimmy said. Well, our producer, David Hatchett, was a little bit smarter than me. He got that tape and he sent it to AP right away. That thing was national in a second. And of course it blew up like crazy. And of course they do win the game and everything else. So it was, but that's probably anything I've been involved in. That probably had probably had the biggest impact.
How did you navigate that whole situation? I've read you for back when you were writing, and I can remember reading something, looking up this whole situation because I'm fascinated by it. You went on the record, hey, Jimmy made all the football decisions. There was really no question about that. Anybody who was there, like you were, Randy, knows that that's exactly what went on. How did you navigate that, holding a relationship with the two of them, but still covering, the biggest story in the country at the time, let alone Dallas?
I think honesty. I mean, you have to be. If Jerry had been involved in any of the decision making in football, then you give him credit. But he was not. And if the whole thing started, the breakup, and to this day, people still talk about the breakup, obviously, because the Cowboys have never been the same since. But Jerry started, and by the way, Jimmy is not totally innocent here. Jerry started asking Jimmy for, hey, give me a little, I want to do some football. I want to be involved in the football decisions. And like in the war room during draft time, the ESPN's now starting, you guys remember that? They started putting cameras in all the war rooms.
Yeah.
For your pick during the draft, and then you'd be on TV. And Jerry's asking things like, now this is according to Jimmy, and kind of confirmed by other people who were in there. Jerry's saying, hey, I want to be next to you, and we're kind of talking. How about that? Well, Jimmy just told him to go to hell. No, you got nothing to do with this. Well, that's what, and then it went on and on and on. That's what started everything that led to the breakup. If Jerry had just left it alone, Jimmy may be here today. Well, not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
He would have been here as long as you wanted to. Now, he didn't, so Jimmy fired back, talked to Jacksonville about taking a job down there for a heck of a lot of money. That was just in defiance of Jerry. And then the famous blow-up came in Orlando at the owners' meeting, and that was in April. And a lot of alcohol involved on both sides. And that's when the firing really came down. The split came down. But there are people today say, well, Jimmy was here 5 years. And I heard this argument not a month ago from guys that should know better, guys who were there. They said, Jimmy doesn't last anywhere over 5 years. And I go, wait a minute. Nothing Jimmy likes better than those championship rings. I am the champion. I said he named his boat after it in the Florida Keys, 3 rings. He named his restaurant in Miami, 3 rings. He named his dog 3 rings. I said, you think Jimmy wants to stop at 3 rings when he knows the talent there could win at least 2 more, maybe 3 more? Set an all-time record. Well, hell no, Jimmy didn't want to stop. But, I mean, his ego got in the way. Jerry's ego got in the way. Alcohol got in the way. And Jimmy was gone, and they did salvage one other Super Bowl out of Jimmy's players with Barry there, Barry Switzer. But that was it. That wasn't.
How about the story? And I've had an opportunity to talk with Quincy Carter a little bit. But you bailed him out of jail? Is that true?
Yeah. Yes. That is totally true.
You take us? Would you mind taking us inside that story?
That's a story. All right, it's Christmas. Pick up the papers. Getting ready to be Christmas, probably a week out. Pick up the papers that morning, and there's a story. Quincy Carter been arrested, possession of drugs. He's in jail, awaiting bail. And then we get to the station. I probably got in about 12:30. We started at 3. We were going to research this and that. Producer comes up and says, this is interesting. Nobody to bail. He doesn't have any money, I guess. And there's nobody that will bail Quincy Carter out of jail. And I went, well, that is interesting. So bail was $2,000. It cost $200 to bail him out. And so we're on the air. Now it's about 4, and Dodge, the producer, goes, Quincy's still in jail. He said, you know what? We ought to bail him out. I went, great idea. I said, hey, give him my, call somebody, find a bail bondsman around Irving or whatever. He jumps back on his mic in about 2 seconds, just a private mic into my earphones, and he goes, hey, how about this one, cowboy bail bonds? I said, yeah, man. Okay, give him my credit card. Of course, I'm not thinking here. If he just bail, it's going to cost me $2,000. I'm thinking, well, I'll do it for $200. Sure enough, guy calls back and went, the owner called back. We were talking to somebody on the phone, and Dodge said, now the owner's on there, and he went, okay, we're going to do it. Tell Galloway we got his credit card. I went, okay. So they bail him out, and he's out of jail. Now, what we were doing, you know what? We were making fun of Quincy Carter. And then the story became, when we started talking about it on the air, wait a minute, this guy, despite being a total screw-up, did win a divisional championship with the Cowboys, did make the playoffs as the quarterback. He was with the team 3 years, 4, whatever, and there's nobody, not Jerry, not any of his ex-teammates, not any fans that will put up $200 to bail him out. And then it's like, man, that really ain't right. So actually, in the end, we started, after we had done it as a joke, in the end, we started feeling sorry for him.
Yeah.
Well, the owner calls back, the owner of Cowboy Bails Bond, and tell Galloway that tells Dodge, tell Galloway we tore up his credit card. Dodge said, why? He said, we've got so much business with you guys talking about it. We want to thank you. And thank you for choosing Cowboy Bail Bond. So now here's the bottom line of the story. Radio station loved it. Oh boy. I think I'd moved to still working for Disney, which owned WBAP and of course ESPN. But the radio station, they loved it. They contacted Bristol. Bristol loved it. Oh, great. And the story had gone out everywhere. It was on the national wires. Sports writer radio sports talk host bails out Quincy Carter. And God, I was getting phone calls from people going, what in the hell is going on now?
I remember thinking that.
But I'll tell you who wasn't. I was working for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram then. And I loved that place, and they'd given me a massive amount of money to move over there, this and that. But the same guy who'd hired me, the editor, he called me. He went, Randy, you've done something that you normally don't do. And I went, oh, God, what's that? He went, you made yourself the story. And he said, don't ever do that again. And I went, yeah, I believe you're right. I won't ever do that again.
And that's at the time you're, and you still are, but you're a titan of the industry. They paid a lot. I think it was like you know better than me, but it was reported $1.5 million for a contract.
Yeah, it was high dollar. And, it was. And these people were extremely nice to me. And I was at the Morning News 33 years. I never thought I'd leave. And then people say, did you do that for money? And they'll ask today, did you do that for money? And I go, hell yeah. Hey, it's always about the money. But I also did it because I knew most of the Star-Telegram writers really liked them. Some of them were really friends of mine. I knew the kind of paper they were putting out, and to be in competition with the Morning News, I knew the kind of paper they wanted to put out. At the time, they were owned by Knight Ridder, and Knight Ridder was ready to go head-to-head with the Morning News basically about Tarrant County, because the Morning News would never invade Tarrant County, and certainly not Arlington, which was becoming like the 5th largest city in Texas. But now they were coming after Arlington. And so that inspired both Knight Ridder and Star-Telegram people, okay, let's go to war with them. And that's what was made about the move. But yeah, it's and of course they were right. I'm in radio talk show mode instead of being in, I guess, I never considered myself. I always said journalists are the guys covering that war.
Yeah.
Over in Iraq or Vietnam before or whatever. Those are journalists. I'm a sports writer. And who happens to be throwing around a lot of BS on the radio. But boy, you had to separate it. And I appreciate Dave Smith, when I left the morning news, Dave Smith was a sports editor. And somebody asked him, he had put him on the radio about me leaving, and somebody asked him, well, are you glad Galloway left because his relationship with you, and mainly because he was breaking stuff on the radio that normally would have been in the paper and maybe should have been in the paper? And Dave went, no, Randy's too professional for that. I went, damn, that's not. That's not. I appreciate the heck out of that. But,
I want to ask you, if you were still writing your column today, okay, what is the piece that you would write about the state of the Dallas Cowboys right now?
The one piece I'd like to write involves the Dallas Mavericks, guys. People have asked me about this, and there's been a lot of things that happened. I've been retired, 12 years. And there's a lot of things happen with the Cowboys, and I'm thinking, boy, I'd like to have a column just to answer that or rip that or whatever. And the same way with the Rangers. And the Rangers win the World Series, man, I'd like to have a column maybe on that. But this Luka thing and the reaction of Nico, the general manager, and that doofus owner, whatever his name is.
The Dumas.
Yeah. Their reaction to all that. And it was a stupid trade. We all do stupid stuff. But when you combine arrogance with stupidity, boy, those are deadly sins. So it's, I went, heck, I'd like to be worked full time, just write every day on these idiots. But that would be the one thing. Yeah, the Cowboy deal. I don't understand Jerry, and I happen to like Jerry personally. I happen to like him. If people don't believe it, but he and I got along great. And in fact, I've got speaking of the Sports Hall of Fame, I've got a letter Jerry sent me after I was inducted into the Sports Hall of Fame. Of course, a very nice letter. And but I've had a good relationship with him because I think that's the reason is he knew, and other people who were advising him knew that all my ripping of Jerry, and my God, it was a lot, as you guys know, but all my ripping of Jerry was not personal because I liked him. It was all about football. And I called him a football idiot many times. He's probably not an idiot, but, you have to be dramatic sometimes. But he, it was, Jerry, he didn't take it personal, nor was it meant to be personal. Because, as I've always said, whatever money I've got, if I could, I'd give it all to Jerry and just say invest it in whatever, because that guy's a money-making machine. As we all know, just an absolute machine. Green machine, we can call it, because he can bring the green in, and still does. He's got a team that hadn't sniffed the NFC Finals, much less the Super Bowl, in over 25 years, and it's still one of the most valuable. Well, it is the most valuable NFL franchise. Now, go figure that.
Look, Randy, I can't thank you enough for the time. I got one more question for you.
No problem.
Yeah, who was your favorite athlete after a game? You go into the locker room. Who was your favorite athlete to get a quote from and to talk to? And not someone, I know that you're going to answer this the right way, but just so people know, to give a context, not someone, okay, I need a quote. The Cowboys just got blew out. Who's going to talk to me? Who was your favorite guy to talk to that was deep, maybe a tough guy to access, but when you got him, they were amazing?
Well, it's and people have asked me this over the years. I mean, I think it's a valid question. When you do it for 50 years in the same market, well, 49 in this market, 1 year in Port Arthur, but to start my so-called career, and there were many arrangers. When you're a beat man for 10 years, you get to know those guys. And there were many arrangers involved. There's been some Mavericks involved, a few Dallas Stars. I didn't know a damn thing about hockey, and I declared myself a hockey expert in 2 weeks. Yeah, I now know everything, but I loved some of I love some of those hockey players. But I'll have to say this: my favorite go-to guy was, and a lot of people don't want to believe this, but it was Michael Irvin. I've never seen a better quote, and a guy who could sum it up better than Michael, and do it honestly. Now, and also with Michael, I mean, you can't find a better locker room guy, a better teammate guy, a better all around, that's a guy I want on my team guy. I mean, you won't ever find that, despite, in all that, he's got Hall of Fame credentials. Not just credentials, he's in the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame. But now one thing about Michael, you get him out of that locker room, put him on the street, and God knows what may happen, as we all know. We all know the Michael stories, and unfortunately, some of them are still happening when he's nearly 60 years old. But I got to always answer that with Michael Irvin, because when the Cowboys don't draft Randy Moss, I can't even remember who it was. They got a decent player, but they didn't draft Randy Moss. And, of course, it turned out to be a massive, massive mistake. But the first training camp was in Wichita Falls, Midwestern State, there on the campus. The first training camp after they didn't draft him in April was up there, about 3 months later, I guess. So I'm walking. I'd been out to practice. I'm walking back to the press room, which was next to the gym, which had become a locker room and all that. And here's somebody hollering at me. Turn around, it's Michael. He's walking back. And he comes up beside me and he went, "Hey, don't blame Jerry for Randy Moss, no matter what happens." And he said, "I think Randy Moss is just going to be a great, great player, great, great receiver. But don't blame Jerry." I said, "Well, who do I blame then? Because Jerry claims he's in charge of the draft." He said, "Blame me." He said, "Because of all my escapades." That was when he came to court. You remember that?
Yeah, sure.
He had been in court in the fur coat and the famous line to the Irving police officers who had knocked at the door. He opened it and they went, "You're under arrest." And his line was, "Do you know who I am?" And the cop went, "Yeah, we know who you are." Put your hands behind your back and all that. So this was the draft after that. He said, "Because of me, the Cowboys could not take Moss." Because, Moss had a reputation.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And being a guy that was going to cause trouble.
There was a reason why he fell to the Cowboys.
Going to be off. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He was going to be off the field problems. And so, that's just an example. But Michael, I said, "Hey, I'm going to write this." And he went, "Write it." I went, "Okay." So I wrote it. Boy, that column attracted a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But Michael just wanted to get that out there. "Blame me," he said. So those are all, one other thing. You guys probably got to go, but
no, give me one more.
After Troy Aikman, look, Jimmy did not like Troy Aikman. I believe that to this day. Jimmy will deny it to this day. And Jimmy and I had a big feud going over Aikman. And I'd gotten to know Aikman pretty well the first 2 years he was here. Then they make their playoff run in, what was that, 91.
Yeah.
And they're going into Detroit. Well, Steve Berline, who was just one of the great people of all time, had Aikman got hurt. Berline had started 5 games. They won them all. He was playing great, and he was a great guy. Jimmy makes a decision with Troy healthy. Well, we're starting Berline again. I didn't necessarily disagree with him. I kind of thought, yeah, he's got to do that. And Berline was awful. Lines are blowing him out. He puts Troy in and mop up. And so game's over. I'm in the locker room. I'm not even going to talk to Troy. I'm wandering around talking to this guy and that guy. I see him motion me to come over there. Wasn't anybody else around. Some people had been talking to me, but nobody else was around. And he went, hey, I'm going to demand a trade in the morning. I went, really? He went, yeah, I'm going to Jerry and say, you trade me. I'm not playing for Jimmy Johnson ever again. I said, well, Troy, I'm writing that. He went, write it. Then we talked a little more. He said, Jimmy doesn't want me here. I don't want to be here, blah, blah, blah. And I get up to walk away. I said, all right, thanks. And he came back, called me back over and went, hey, don't write that in the morning. I said, Aikman, you're killing me. That's a hell of a story. He said, I tell you what I'll do. I will call you at exactly noon because we didn't have sales. And he said, I'll call you at exactly noon. Are you going to be in the office or home? I said, in the office. I said, all right. So I get back to the office. I tell the boss, and the editor's there. I said, hey, big story coming. Should have had it this morning, but Aikman called me off and nothing I could do. And of course, I got second guess. Well, you could have hinted at it. I said, no, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't hint at nothing. Well, the phone rings. Sure enough, it's probably about 10 to 12. Right before I said, oh, man, here's Aikman. Sure enough, he went, hey, you won't believe what happened. I went, what the hell happened? He said, I get in about 10:30. I get in the locker room. I'm packing up everything. Season's over.
Because the game was in Detroit, for people that don't know. Is that the old
that's
Silver
right.
Dome?
Yeah. And of course, they had flown back after the game. And he said, suddenly I get one of the secretaries came down and said, hey, Jimmy wants to see you. And I'm going, yeah, well, okay. No, she said, no, really. So he goes down to Jimmy's office, walks in. Jimmy said, Troy, sit down. Just want to tell you one thing. You are my starting quarterback. Right now, you are the franchise quarterback. You tell me exactly what you need, who you want as offensive coordinator, blah, blah, blah. It's all yours. You're in total control of the offense on this team. Aikman went, I couldn't believe it. I said, I find that hard to believe too. He said, well, I'm staying. And so I go, that's history. Because if Aikman had left, what was going to happen? Would they have won those 3 Super Bowls?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. And that's kind of a historic type deal right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the early evening before in Detroit, Michigan. He was gone. And then suddenly he wasn't. So whatever Jimmy and Jimmy said, oh, man, I was talking to Jimmy about it that day. And I happened to kind of get him alone. And I said, well, here's what Troy told me. I said, did you know that? He said, no, I didn't know it. I don't know whether he did or not. But he said, you know what? I was planning on doing this all along. And that's kind of Jimmy. I know that may have been BS, but I was planning on doing this all along, which is a kind of a Jimmy thing to say. That's why I like him. You never know, boy, what he might come up with.
Well, honestly, Randy, conversations like this are why I love you, and being able to be on the other end of one for the first time is really cool. And you know, you're a legend, and you belong in the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. And we'll take whatever we can get from you, content-wise.
All right. I enjoyed it too, guys. And when I retired, I said I'm staying off the radio. I'm staying out of the newspapers. And I still do it. If friends of mine have a show like Ian Fitzsimmons, who's on for me, he's on ESPN at night, the national ESPN, and some other guys, but I try to do some of them, and I really enjoyed this one. It's very good, and I mean, you have, things happen to you in your career, particularly if you stay that long. And the greatest thing that happens to you in life. My 2 daughters were born, grew up to be very successful people, and then I had 4 grandkids born, and those are and the way they've turned out, heck, the youngest is now a freshman in college. But, and the way they've turned out, that's been a great thing. So those are the highlights of your life. But professionally, the highlight was the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, obviously, because there can be no bigger highlight. So I was surprised, but to be notified. But people asked, "Do you think you deserve this?" I had somebody ask that. I thought a long time, and I answered, "I don't know if I deserve it, but I'm damn sure going to accept it." So at the induction ceremony, I went, "I accept." Jay Black, you can't take it back. I accept.
Well, Randy, man, thank you so much.
Guys, I've enjoyed it. All right, I did enjoy it. Best of all, thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Randy Galloway.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extra Code. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extra Code has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extra Code.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.